The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and we are webcasting to you live from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders headquarters in Tarzana, California. I'm so excited to be here with you on this Wednesday morning. We've got a lot of stuff to cover on the show. We're going to be with you live for the next 2 hours talking about topics having to do with autism and how you and I and the people in our world can be more effective, more efficient working with a child on the autism spectrum to reach their fullest potential. I get so excited about that and spreading the message that there is hope, there is help, that we can have progress with each and every one of our children, no matter where they are on the spectrum, no matter what their current capabilities appear to be, there's progress to be had. So we talk about that and ever so much more. Today, it's sort of like our theme for today is the best of times, worst of times, because we're going to talk about some things that are amazing that are going on in the world, and we're going to talk about some things that are making life a little bit rougher. But when we talk about those things and shed light on them, we make progress, right? So I'm very excited about that. A lot of what we talk about here has to do with ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis. There's a good reason why, because ABA is the only scientifically proven effective treatment for autism. Now, what's the rah-rah sis boom in that sentence is that it has been proven to be effective, and not only that, it's been proven to be effective with all of our kids on the spectrum. So no matter what age your child is, no matter what their current skill capability is, no matter what their challenging behavior is, if we use quality ABA tools in a way that is designed just for that individual child, we will see progress. Isn't that a lovely? I absolutely get so excited about that. Why do I get excited? Because I'm an autism parent. Because my son was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2.5. He's now 9. We had the great benefit, and believe me, I get it, the great benefit of having early intensive behavioral intervention with the highest quality of ABA delivered at the right amount at the right time. And of course, I'm a huge fan of CARD, the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, because they are the ones who came in to my home for 5 years. Yes, I said 5 years, not 5 weeks, not 5 hours, 5 years. But the progress that we made as a result of that is nothing short of phenomenal. We still are working on things. I've shared with you guys before that I use the skills program at home and use the principles of ABA to continue growing his skill level, and we continue to see progress. But I have to say that life is really good. And there was a time when I didn't know. I did not know that that was possible. And part of why I'm here is because I want to pay it forward and make sure that you guys know what's possible. I want to help you to hook up to the answers and to the questions and the different topics that you need to know to help your child. That's really why I'm here. I'm not an expert in autism, not an expert in ABA. I pretend to be an expert in my child, but you know, on a daily basis I get proved wrong. But I get back up and I keep trying because I'm passionate about being his mom and showing up for him and getting to know him and having all of the different facets of him unfold and removing obstacles from his path. And I know you guys feel that about your children, you feel it about your students, you feel it if you're a practitioner, you feel it about your clients. So we're all in that warm fuzzy boat together, but there's work to be done, right? I'm going to ask Emily to put up on the screen all the different ways that you can get in touch with us, because there are many many and they are varied, and there's lots of different ways to watch this show. So take a look at these. But if you're watching us live, the only place you can do that right now is on autism-live.com. And if you found us there, then you see that there's a box that says Shannon is answering right now. This is a live interaction tool. You don't have to log in. You don't have to give a credit card number. We don't even ask your name. You can just type into that box, hit enter, and it shows up magically here on my screen. I can ask our guests questions. We can take your comments. We can have a conversation. I hope that you will participate in the conversation. When I think of all the time that I paced the floor late at night and thought, I have all these questions about autism and I don't know what to do with them, and I would type them into the computer. I went to Google University, but you know, sometimes the sentence is longer than Google is going to really understand, right? You get shifted to someplace else. We're here for you. Ask the questions, make the suggestions, tell us what you want us to cover. That's what we will do. And we enjoy it. Can I just say, it's a wonderful thing. Okay. A lot to get done today, so let's start out with our morning warm-up. This is what we call jargon of the day, where we take one word, one phrase, one anagram, and try to make sense out of it in a way that we can apply to our individual children. We know that there are lots of experts who use these terms in conjunction with our children, and it really slows down the process when we have to stop and say, what are you talking about? And worse, a lot of times when we've stopped a meeting or an appointment that we're paying literally by the minute for, and we say, what are you talking about? They give us more jargon, and we're still no closer to understanding. So we can do this if we take it on one word, one phrase, one anagram at a time and try to make some sense of it. If you don't get it the first time, that's okay, because we go back over some of these terms. And in fact, we switched our jargon of the day today because of something that we're going to talk about later on. And so I wanted to go back over this today. And this truly is one of the hardest things, extinction. It's one of the hardest things to get your head wrapped around. So it's worth going over it again, extinction. And it will become important later on when Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson joins me. Okay, so what is extinction? Let's take a look at our actual definition. It's a procedure in which reinforcement is withheld or no longer occurs following the incidence of the behavior. Okay. If you've been hanging around the show, then reinforcement sounds familiar. We all know what behavior is. But what does this actually look like? Because this is when it gets dicey. Let's take a look at our working definition. Removing or no longer providing whatever has been maintaining a behavior you want to decrease. All right, maybe a little easier, maybe a little harder to understand actually in this case. All right. Principle number one in ABA is that in order for any behavior to happen again and again and again, it has to be reinforcing in some way. There has to be some sort of reward. There has to be some paycheck, right? Dr. Phil says that all the time, right? What's your paycheck for doing that? Okay, you know, he talks to hardened criminals that are doing all kinds of things that are not advisable, right? So what's your paycheck for that? There is always a paycheck for behavior that happens again and again and again. It doesn't have to be a challenging behavior. If you think about it, you get up every morning and hopefully you brush your teeth. What's the paycheck for you for brushing your teeth? If we took a poll amongst 50 people, we might find that the paycheck varied a little bit. Some people might say, I like the fresh feeling in my mouth. Other people would say, I really like the fact that when I go to the dentist, I have no cavities. Other people will say, I like the feeling of being able to talk to people and get close to them and not worry about my breath. But everybody has a paycheck for brushing teeth, because if there wasn't a paycheck or the paycheck wasn't big enough, we would find that we wouldn't do it. All right, take a minute with that, because this not only applies to us, it does apply to us, but it applies to every living organism, including our children on the autism spectrum. So when your child is doing this, there's a paycheck. When your child is biting you, there is a paycheck. When your child refuses to go to sleep on a regular basis, there is a paycheck. When your child refuses to eat a green vegetable, there is some sort of paycheck. There is something about it where they're getting some form of reinforcement. And when we are at our best as a team member working with a child on the autism spectrum, we will be willing for professionals to come in and figure out what the paycheck is. It would be lovely if we could do it all on our own, and sometimes we see things and it seems to make sense, but especially when it's challenging behavior, we don't want to assume. We just don't want to assume. First of all, we don't have the time, and we don't want to risk it. Our kids are our most valuable resource, right? We love them more than anything else. So we don't want to risk putting them in danger. And when we assume, right, especially with challenging behavior, if you assume what the function of the behavior is, you run the risk of doing something that could harm your child. So we're not going to do that, right? But a professional comes in and tells us what the function of the behavior is. Now, sometimes, once we know what the paycheck is, we will see that there is a way that we can just stop giving the paycheck. We go, oh, I didn't realize that my doing this was giving a paycheck. And I have it within my capability to stop giving that paycheck. That's called extinction. When we say, all right, we're separating the behavior from the paycheck, we're no longer going to give the paycheck for it. An example of this, when my child was very little, right as we were starting ABA, he was engaging in self-injurious behavior. Certain things would happen. He would run into the kitchen, throw himself on the kitchen floor, and bang his head on the kitchen floor repeatedly. What was my reaction? I was appalled as a parent. He'd be crying. I'd be hysterical. I would run over, pick him up, rub his head as he's crying, hold him, rock him, feed him, sing to him, read to him, cuddle, cuddle, cuddle. And my child kept doing it. And I, in the moment, I did not see it that way, but I was giving him a paycheck for hitting his head, a big paycheck. And everything that I'd been asking him to do before, he didn't have to do anymore because he'd hit his head. It was one moment of pain, but he got a half an hour of mom loving him. I was giving him a paycheck for hitting his head. So we had to put that on extinction. Now, we didn't just do that and ignore him while he's hitting his head. We put a lot of antecedent modifications in there to make it so that he was getting enough attention, getting enough of what he wanted so that he wouldn't do that. And if he did engage in that behavior, we made it so that he couldn't hurt himself, but I no longer picked him up, held him, rocked him, gave him attention, food, love, all that stuff. So we put it on extinction, and what do you know? When you put things on extinction, what happens, sometimes not immediately, but what happens is the person or organism, whatever it is that you're doing, they change the behavior. And my son did change his behavior. He didn't hit his head on the floor anymore. I didn't ignore him, but we made it safe for him so that he couldn't hurt himself, and I didn't give attention and rewards to that behavior anymore, and it stopped. We talk sometimes about an extinction burst, and we'll talk about that probably on Friday, that sometimes it gets a little, sometimes it gets a lot worse before it gets better, but it's a pretty quick thing. But extinction is a way, in some cases, that we can very quickly change a behavior because we no longer reward it. Right? It's so important that we know what the function of the behavior is. If you know somebody in your life who's smoking, and every time they smoke a cigarette and you're going outside and talking to them and saying, you know, I really wish you wouldn't do that because I care about you so much and I don't want you to die. And I worry about you so much when you do this, da 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 da. And you think, you know, eventually you're going to get through to them, but they're still smoking. And somebody comes along and looks at it and says, well, this person needs your love and attention, and every time they smoke, they're getting your love and attention. Try completely saying nothing when they smoke, see what happens. You put it on extinction. You don't give it the paycheck anymore. It's hard. It feels counterintuitive in the moment. As a parent, you want to get in there and go, don't do that, or I'm sorry your head hurts, or whatever it is. But sometimes we're actually feeding the behavior. Extinction, cut it off from the food supply. Feels weird. It definitely feels weird. But when appropriate, it's a really, really amazing tool. Extinction. We're gonna do a callback to this later on, so stick around for that. It promises to be fun. Okay, we always have a question of the day for you, and our question of the day for you. We've been talking this week. On Monday, we asked you what makes your child feel anxious. Yesterday, we asked what makes you feel anxious. Today, we want to know what helps your child to feel less anxious. What are you doing that's working? This is a great opportunity for you to participate on Facebook or to write into us, because there are people out there who you know, because we've all been there before, that are saying, I don't know what else to do. So this is a great opportunity for you to talk about what you're doing that's working and help someone else. We all have to hold hands through this, right? We have to stick together. So important. When I think about all the times that people have told me things so I didn't have to go back and invent the wheel. You know, we talk about the autism pioneers who, at a time when the internet didn't exist, their children were diagnosed with autism, and they found ways to help their children. I think about Temple Grandin's mother. I'm sorry, I just think she's she's a rock star. She's one of the most amazing people, because she didn't have books to go look up to figure out what to do to help her child, but we all can learn from the things that she did with her child. So help out. Help somebody who is not as far as you are in the path by telling them what you're doing that works with anxiety with your child. You never know who around the world that you could change things for. It's really an amazing opportunity. Okay, we always have a topic of the week. Our topic this week, our topic of the day this entire week is, of course, anxiety. And I smile because it's important for us to talk about it and we can make progress. I've shared before on the show that after my son was diagnosed with autism, boy, I went down a well of anxiety and didn't know if I was ever going to come back up. But I sit before you as somebody who, of course, I still have anxiety. And I have to be mindful of managing it, but I'm here. And that's something that I couldn't have done maybe 3 years ago. I couldn't have been here. So there is progress that can be had. And I'm thrilled to be able to talk about that with all of you and all of us, to share our concerns about anxiety for ourselves and for our kids. When we can get this under control for ourselves, it makes us a better person on the team for our kids. So we got a lot of different things going on today. In just a few minutes, we're going to be joined via Skype by Marisol, I'm going to slaughter her name, but Remoquillo, I think, is as close as I can get. She is the operations manager of the Center for Autism and Related Disorders in Chicago. And I know a lot of you have been writing in about what services are available in the Chicago area. So we're going to have Marisol on with us to talk about what's happening in Chicago. Really thrilled to be able to talk with her. Hopefully we're going to have time for a play tip later on today. But at the top of the hour, we are going to be visited by Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson for that special Wednesday segment that we do every week, Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. We've got a fabulous guest for you, a young entrepreneur who has a bookstore, Jonah, again, I'm going to mess up his name, Zimiles, I believe is the pronunciation of it, who has the Maplewood Bookstore in New Jersey, in Maplewood, New Jersey. And he not only has a wonderful bookstore, which is a great service to the community, but he's going above and beyond and pairing his business with making a difference in the special needs community. I can't wait to talk to him. And for any of you that have a business or an opportunity of hiring individuals on the spectrum or with special needs, I think you're going to want to tune in to see this. And I'm just going to say that Nancy and I, you have two fierce autism moms together on this fine day. You know, we just have some things that we have to say about Miss Ann Coulter and her challenging behavior. And we would like to challenge everyone to put her behavior on extinction. Do you see where this is going? So if you want to know what Nancy and I have to say about Ann Coulter and her unspeakable tweet yesterday, you're definitely going to want to tune into the top of Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. It's gloves off. Let's say that. Okay? Should be interesting. Okay. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back and be joined by Marisol Remoquillo talking about CARD Chicago. Stick with us. Currently in the United States, 1 in 88 children is affected by autism. 1 in 88 means something different when your child is the one. recovery is possible. Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, host of Autism Live, an online show about autism broadcast by CARD, the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. I'm also the mother of a child with autism, my beautiful son, Jem. You know our old joke, guess what?
Chicken butt.
Chicken butt. So we're gonna take the chickens. But things weren't always so easy. I remember when Jem was first diagnosed with autism. I used to lay awake at night in bed and pray for someone or something that could help us to get our child back. My prayers were answered by Dr. Doreen Grandpichet and the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. CARD treats autism and other related disorders using the principles of ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, which is the only scientifically proven effective treatment for autism. It is also recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the U.S. Surgeon General. About a year after we started treatment with CARD, we were able to see tremendous improvement, and we got our child back.
What grade are you in?
Second.
You are a smart cookie, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like school?
Yeah.
Do you have any good friends?
Yeah, Oscar.
Oscar is your best friend?
Yeah.
And my child is just one of thousands to benefit from CARD ABA therapy. Across the nation and around the world, children are making amazing progress and being given the keys to unlock their full potential.
We are extremely grateful for the amazing job CARD has done in helping our daughter. Our daughter today, just in 4 months, I think is a totally different child than when she started with CARD. I kind of see it as, it seems like her brain in a way was asleep, and now that we've gotten so many services, we've seen her wake up.
Did you have some guesses?
Recovery is possible if you take the right steps, if you're willing to put in all the hard work. And 7.5 years, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's worth every little bit, and CARD's been there with us every step of the way.
I have 2 children with autism. I can't imagine a day without CARD or the therapists. They've been so instrumental in helping us with our kids and shaping their lives and helping us help them.
Thank you, Christina Big Alex.
Thank you, Jackie and Mariana.
We've tried other things before ABA, but the most beneficial thing has been ABA services, and I'd be the first person to tell any newly diagnosed family that you have to contact an ABA provider, and if you're lucky enough to have CARD, you're very blessed.
Recovery from autism is absolutely a possibility. We've been recovering children for over 20 years. It's just a matter of identifying the child's medical needs, understanding the child's sensory issues, and then teaching the child all of the skills they need in order to function normally.
We know there's hope for autism. Autism is treatable, and recovery from autism is possible.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod. We're webcasting to you live from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders headquarters in Tarzana, California. And right now, I want to welcome a very special guest, Marisol Remoquillo. Marisol, you're going to have to help me because I'm sure I said that wrong. But you are the operations manager for the Center for Autism and Related Disorders Chicago office. Is that correct?
Correct. And you did just fine with my name.
Oh, I have to go buy a lottery ticket then because I was sure that I got it wrong. But in any case, Marisol, thank you so much for being with us here today. We've had a lot of different viewers writing in from the Chicago area wanting to know about ABA services in Chicago. And of course, I'm a huge fan of CARD because you guys, the CARD offices, gave me my child back. So first and foremost, I'm always going to recommend CARD. If you're close enough to a CARD office, it's a great place to go. But I want to have you talk a little bit about the Chicago office because you guys have some amazing things going on there. Tell us a little bit about what you do there in Chicago.
Well, aside from managing the daily operations like staffing, scheduling issues, and insurance questions and that, I'm also an advocate for CARD in our community. And what I mean by that is I'm a strong believer in CARD and what we do. The difference that we make in kids' lives, it's a message that I want to share with our community. And so I've made it a point to reach out to like hospitals, providers, some of the other schools to inform them of what CARD is and what we have to offer so that they look to us as a resource for effective treatment for autism.
Absolutely. You guys are doing a great job there. And tell us, because each CARD office around the world has very unique traits about it. And I'm very impressed with the Chicago office. What's unique about you guys that our viewers should know about?
I think first and foremost would be that we're operating on a zero wait list. So we're ready to take kids as soon as tomorrow. But the two other notable things that I think are unique about Chicago is our staff and our network. A lot of our staff, when they come to work for CARD, I mean, you could just tell, from the first day forth that they're here for the long haul. They're very dedicated. I think 7 of our therapists are currently seeking their BCBAs. So they're in school and they're looking to make, becoming a supervisor a part of their future. And our supervisors in itself, I mean, they started from line therapists and worked their way up. So from the time they come to work for CARD, for the most part, they're here for the long run. And another thing is our network. We've worked very hard, especially this year, to establish really good relationships with other top quality providers. Physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech, reading programs, all of those things, so that when families come and inquire about our services or what we have available, we're also able to refer them to other providers for their other needs.
Well, it's remarkable what you guys do. Let's shift topics a little bit and talk about funding, because this is a big issue for parents. They want to know how they're going to be able to get their ABA program funded. You have insurance law on the books there in Chicago. Have you seen families having success getting insurance to pay for their ABA programs there?
To be honest, when the Illinois mandate first passed, I mean, it was a little bit of a struggle. A lot of providers, even though, ABA was covered under the policy, they weren't too knowledgeable about what it was. So a lot of the first couple of years was getting out there, educating them, informing them of what we do and what services are supposed to look like. So now I can say that we do successfully work with the majority of providers out there. And the only exclusion are really like the self-funded plans and whether or not they've opted out of the Mental Health Parity Act.
Right, and I especially want parents to know that it can be so overwhelming, right? Getting started, and the insurance thing can be overwhelming, but they can call the offices for CARD, they can call you, and they will actually get some help in knowing what their insurance covers. Is that right, Marisol?
Oh, absolutely. We take care of that verification process for them. If they call, it's really easy. We ask them to fill out a couple of papers, and there's no obligation whatsoever. We can verify for them and get them an answer sometimes within the day, sometimes 2 to 3 days.
Marisol, you've been working with the Center for Autism and Related Disorders for a while. What's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome on this journey as you've been trying to help families with autism?
I would have to say that the number one thing would probably be scheduling. ABA is meant to be a little bit more intensive than some of the other therapies available. I mean, hours can range anywhere from 10 to 40 hours in a week. And we live in a very fast-paced society now. Everybody's got something to do, somewhere to be. And a lot of our families, they also have, other kids that they have to worry about their activities and then working around school. So you really have to be dedicated and committed, not just as a provider, but as a family, to collaborate those schedules. Yeah. I think that's the most difficult part of, what we do.
Yes, we always joke about it. Because my son had 5 years of intensive ABA, and it was an education in getting a schedule together. And most autism parents can tell you the schedule is the thing that runs the entire family. But it is possible, and the Center for Autism and Related Disorders helps you through. You guys are a whiz at providing schedules that are easy to understand and to know where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be. It's absolutely great what you guys do. I want to know, Marisol, for our viewers, what age ranges do you work with at the CARD Chicago office?
We work with all age ranges from 0 to 21. So I think a common misconception is that services are only available for younger kids, which is not the case. We have programs that can be geared towards older kids, teenagers. We have some families, or we've worked with some kids who are, we had to help them prepare to go away to college, or establish independent living skills, or build meaningful relationships. So anywhere between the ages of 0 and 21.
Okay, and in terms of the therapist, if somebody is looking for employment and is interested in becoming a CARD therapist, what qualifications do they need? What do they go through? And are you hiring?
We are always hiring qualified therapists. There is, in order to be, to apply, they can go to the Center for Autism website, or they can contact our office directly here. And what we're looking for as far as a therapist is concerned, being a therapist, it's no easy feat. Sometimes the days are really, really long. Sometimes the behaviors that they try to manage are a little difficult. And there's a lot of pressure. But at the end of the day, it's really rewarding when they see the progress that they're making with the kids. So aside from...
But you guys have an extensive training that prepares them to deal with those kinds of things, right?
Oh, yes, yes. So the standard qualifications are, they have to have a degree in psychology or related field, and then 6 months working with children with disabilities. And then we start the training process in which they receive 40 hours of lecture and then 40 hours of practicum field training before they can even work independently with a child.
Yeah.
And that's after passing a written examination and a field examination. So it's a pretty rigorous training program.
It is, but you know what? It's the best training program that's available. I have seen people, I've actually gone through most of the training process before I started working here. It's not, they don't normally put the parents through it, so don't get worried about that. But it's amazing what you learn. It's absolutely amazing what you learn. And how about in this job market having those qualifications, being trained by the best ABA provider, you're going to have job security. So if you're looking for a career, I encourage you to check that out. But there's one more thing before we have to let you go, Marisol. I know you guys have something really exciting coming up that families in Chicago should know about. What's happening there?
We have an open house on November 17th. That's a Saturday, where we're inviting everybody who has any questions or is interested in finding out more about CARD Chicago to come and take a visit at our site and meet our staff. And so it's from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock on Saturday, November 17th.
Okay, and so this is a totally free event for people to come and get information and meet people and ask questions, meet and greet. Can they bring their kids?
Oh, absolutely. We'll have kid-friendly activities and childcare available.
Okay, so if you are in the Chicago area, and I know many of you have written into us lately saying we're looking for ABA, we're in Chicago, November 17th, I want you to go to their Chicago offices. And how do they find out where to go, and how can they get a hold of you, Marisol?
Well, they can contact me at 708-358-3000. That's our general office line.
Okay, say that again for us.
708-358-3000.
Okay. And then if they go to the centerforautism.com and go to locations, go to Chicago, they're going to be able to find the address, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so there it is, www.centerforautism.com. Go to the locations tab. For those of you who are watching who aren't in the Chicago area, I want to remind you that CARD has offices literally around the world. So you want to check and see if there's one close to you, because I tell you, they are what I call the autism miracle in my living room. And so I love you guys because you gave me back my child. So thank you. Marisol, thank you so much. I wish you a beautiful, large, open house with lots of people there.
Thank you very much, Shannon.
And we'll touch base with you in the coming months to see how things are going in Chicago.
Sounds wonderful.
Thank you so much for being with us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was Marisol Remoquillo. We're talking about the Center for Autism and Related Disorders Chicago office. If you're anywhere in the Chicago area, I would encourage you to go to that open house on November 17th. Meet her, meet the entire staff, bring your child, see what all the excitement is about. All right, we're going to take a break. We are going to come back and do our arts and crafts tip for the week. We didn't get to it yesterday, and it's Halloween. It's a great time to be doing arts and crafts, but how do you start? We'll talk about it after this break.
Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, and this is my son, Jem. We're here today at the Home Depot. You might know that Home Depot is famous for giving free classes to adults on lots of things like tiling and other home crafts. Well, they also have free classes for kids as well. It's called the Kids Workshop. We love doing that, don't we, Jem?
Yeah.
It's cool. So come on inside with us and let's do a craft.
Yay.
The Kids Workshop is a program that's been around with Home Depot almost since we've been a company, and it's been developed to allow kids in the community to come in and give them an opportunity to build something, to be able to create something and be able to take just simple wood pieces and put them together with nails and hammers and screwdrivers and then paint them.
So you do this every first Saturday of the month.
Any Home Depot that you go to on the first Saturday of every month between 9 and 12, you can join different associates throughout different stores and build these projects with these kids.
And do they have to do anything beforehand, or can they just show up on that Saturday?
All they need to do is show up. We have all the tools, all the materials that the kids will need. We have aprons that we give to the kids that they can take home and maintain their pins. They get pins on a regular basis for completing projects. With that, they can keep track of how many projects they've done. And
it's all free.
It's all absolutely free, all provided.
Which is wonderful. And Wilson, I have to say, you know, you guys devised this for all kids to be able to do this.
Correct.
What I particularly love about it as an autism mom, it gives my child a place to come and learn a new skill, to socialize with kids of all kinds.
Absolutely. And that's what we're here for. Home Depot is definitely loves to be involved with the community and bring the community in to work with us. That's what we love to do.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I promised you guys a play tip, and I'm squeezing it in here because we didn't get to it yesterday. It's the week before Halloween, and we've been talking about anxiety and how to help prepare our kids for Halloween. And anytime that we can do something that is fun with our kids that's surrounding upcoming holiday or the season, it has many benefits. Because if we can make it fun for our kids, it's like an insurance policy against anxiety. If we're having a good time and learning new skills, that's going to help ward off anxiety, right? And it helps them to be able to put these things into context. We said yesterday that you got to kind of ramp up to the holiday. It can be enjoyable, but sometimes when we talk about our play activities, and we're going to talk about arts and crafts today, we come to things with our perception. And you know how eventually we want to get our children to understand other people's perspectives? We need to do that too. And when we take our children's perspective, we have to stop and consider that some things are not automatically fun for them. A lot of play, and especially sometimes arts and crafts, it can have the opposite effect and be causing anxiety. So we want to move slowly. We want to keep things in an arena that they are reinforcing, and maybe very slowly moving them into territory that isn't in their comfort zone. We don't want to get all the way to anxiety, but start with just a little bit outside the comfort zone. You know what I mean about kids who they get something on their hands and it's very disturbing to them. So the whole idea of finger painting, not so good. You know, and we know we can make some modifications with that, right? As long as there's nothing that our child is allergic to. One of the things they do for kids like that is to have them finger paint with pudding. We have to be careful because we don't want to teach children that, eventually to stick the finger paints in their mouth, but the feel of pudding is a little bit silkier, and if something were to go in the mouth, we're safe, right? And it's potentially reinforcing. We want to be careful. You don't want to do that with all children. If you've got a child who puts everything in their mouth, that's maybe not the exercise to do. But in any case, let's talk specifically about how do we start teaching arts and crafts. So some things to keep in mind, what we were just talking about, don't assume it's fun for the child. We have to make it fun. And in the beginning, it's very likely that it is absolutely aversive to them, or it could just be boring, that it seems like work. There's some arts and crafts things that I love to do that are so reinforcing to me. Like I love to scrapbook. I have a very good friend who literally says, if the day comes when I say I want to go scrapbooking, that I think that that's reinforcing, I want you all to have me put down. Because to her, it's work. How could you, why do you want to stick things? It's work, right? So we have to be mindful of the fact that everything in the beginning may seem like work to children. We got to make it fun. If I was going to bring my friend scrapbooking, I would have a bunch of things that she was really excited about, and to scrapbook, and periphery things to make it exciting to her. Okay, she loves dogs, so I would make her scrapbook a page about dogs, and I would probably have a couple of dogs there, right? We don't want to assume that the child understands the concept of art. The concept of art, right? It's very much a perspective thing, right? And we can't assume that they get it. So we're going to help them to get it. And that's really the lesson that I'm going to go over today, is how to help them to understand the concept of art. And we want to introduce the concept first by matching art to reality, to show them the differences between it and identify which one is art. So to that end, in this first early lesson, teaching the concept of art, the parent or teacher presents a hammer, a pair of glasses, and a pen, the real things, right? They hand the child an arts and crafts pair of glasses, like maybe glasses made out of pipe cleaners, and say, put with same. So you've got your hammer, you've got your real set of glasses and a real pen, right? And we've made a pair of glasses out of pipe cleaners, and we give them to the child and say, put with same. So the child, and we might have to help them, we might have to physically prompt them to put them with the real glasses and say, okay, these are the same. And we can talk through it and say, these are real glasses, and this is art. This is an arts and crafts project that we made. We can sit there and bring out another activity. We can bring out Play-Doh and now make Play-Doh glasses. And so that we're showing them, are they going to get the concept right away? No. But over time, and of course we're going to vary this, we're not always going to do it with glasses, right? We might take an object in the house and try to draw it. We might ask them to draw it. And we want to make a big deal about that art project and put it on the refrigerator and give them lots of praise and make sure that there's fun things that happen around it, tell them what a great job that they did. Of course, we can expand on this lesson in myriads of ways. But in the very beginning, we want to have that real object and then the art object, and have them pair the two up together. We'll see that slowly over time they'll start to understand that it's the art object is not the same, but it in some way represents. We can begin to teach creativity this way too, so that you might see that the child might have some anxiety around the fact that if you have blue glasses, sunglasses that are sitting there, and you only give them pink clay to make the sunglasses out, that might cause some anxiety. But how much better is it to start with flexibility there and show that it's okay and that nothing bad happened? They're still the same. We have the pink glasses and we've got the blue glasses, but they're both glasses. This is going to help our child with flexibility in other areas. If we can make this reinforcing enough, and again, we're taking outside things to begin with and piling it on, that conditioned reinforcer. So we might give, food or toys, and we're always going to heap praise and other kinds of reinforcement that apply to this individual child. If the child's wild about bubbles, when we're doing this and they match the two things up, we blow bubbles, right? Then then I might get out something and see if we can't make a picture of bubbles, right? Go with the thing that the child loves. They love Buzz Lightyear. Let's try to make a Play-Doh Buzz Lightyear. Work with what you have, right? But we set the child up for success by pairing it with the real thing. We make the link there. And if we make it reinforcing enough, the child's going to want to do more of it. And we can branch out into all kinds of things. We've had people from the Art of Autism on the show, and we know that when we give children and adults and teenagers the opportunity to express themselves through art, some pretty amazing things happen. And we can start this with really little kids, and we can start this with adults. We had Deborah Husseini from the Art of Autism on, and she was talking about one individual who is having an art showing this year, and I don't think that he had ever done any kind of an art project. He's on the spectrum. I believe she told me that he was in his 30s the first time he did an art project. So it's never too late to start. Art projects, really wonderful, really fun, really reinforcing, and another way for our kids to communicate. You can find this lesson and all the companion pieces to this lesson, as well as thousands of other lessons on skills. And you know I love skills. You can find that www.skillsglobal.com. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, you guys have written in a bunch of comments and questions and suggestions, and so we're going to cover those and hopefully even get to your answers to the question of the day, so stick with us.
My son.
My son.
My brother.
My daughter is one of the
1 in 88 children on the autism spectrum.
I have autism.
I have autism.
I have autism, and I want you to see me as an individual
and not as a label.
I want to find out why my brother has autism.
I want the government to say that autism is a public health crisis.
I need to know who will take care of my child when I'm gone.
I want to know what treatments,
what solutions are out there for my child.
We need insurance reform in all 50 states.
I want autism to be an unavoidable topic for those running for office this fall.
I want my students to be
safe in school.
I want the bullies to leave me alone.
Autism Speaks encourages all Americans to ask candidates, how will you make a difference for those living with autism?
I want a Senate,
a president, a Congress that recognizes autism
as an urgent public health
crisis it is.
I want our lawmakers to listen.
Make your voice heard this election. Visit autismvotes.org.
Welcome back to Autism Live. You guys have been writing in with comments and suggestions, and I just love it when you guys interact. I want to start with the first one. Somebody said, I'd like to see more about autistic adults who have found success in their lives, like Temple Grandin. And I think that's a great suggestion, and we try to do that from time to time. We've got a couple of people that are going to be coming up in the coming weeks that we're going to be talking to. One of them, Travis Breeding, we're talking with him about when we can get him on the show. He has written 6 books, and has got a new book out that's pretty fascinating that I can't wait to get my hands on. But we've had many individuals on the show who demonstrate that success is within our kids' grasp. It absolutely is. I'm thinking particularly about Carrie Magro, who was on, and if you haven't checked out Carrie's information, he's on YouTube. He has his own video blog, and he's an amazing young man who he's in a graduate program and is a speaker around the world. Just a fascinating young man. And there are so many, but I really appreciate your comment, and we'll try to get more of that to show you, because it's very inspirational to me. Very inspirational to me. I don't know if you guys saw this morning, there was a young high school football player who over the weekend in New Jersey scored the winning touchdown for his football team, and they interviewed him on the Today Show this morning, and you can check that out on YouTube too. I have no problem promoting other places because it's rah for our kids. And loved, the dad said there's a moment where the young man ran off the field and he was going down the side. I'm not a football watcher, so I don't the sideline. He just kept running, and the dad said, I didn't even get to see that. I think I blacked out for a minute because I was so excited, and I welled up up because I just thought it was amazing. And I think that as much as possible, we need to show those things for ourselves and for those individuals and for our kids to know how successful they can be. The sky's the limit, right? So thank you for reminding us how important that is to all of us. And somebody else wrote in and said, autism isn't a death sentence. And all this fear-mongering people such as Autism Speaks create, either intentional or not, gives the idea that autistic people are something to be feared. And you know, I think it's really important that we spread that message that it is not a death sentence, that there is so much hope, that there is so much that's possible for our kids, that progress is possible. I'm always dismayed when I meet people who don't have children on the spectrum who think, okay, well, it's just, and it's over, but worse for me. I mean, as if that's not bad enough is when I meet people who have kids on the autism spectrum who have not been told how much progress is available for their children. So I'm with you. I think hope and progress, those are the things that we all need to be talking about. I know that sometimes I have said things where people have said, wow, I feel like when I will say about how important it is for early intervention, at least twice I've had parents say, but I missed that and I feel bad. I feel like I didn't get it done. And I felt horrible because because in that sentence that they just happened to tune in, they didn't hear the other part that I say, which is it's never too late. It is never too late. So it's important for us all to be careful about what we say and how we say it, but I don't think it's anyone's intention ever to make it sound as if there's not hope, because there is, and we know that. Somebody says they like my new haircut. I'm getting used to it. It's a little on the short side, but you know, it's going to be easier. And I've shared before on the show that my son, the first time that I knew that he was starting to take other people's perspectives and care what his friends thought was when one of his friends said to him on a day when it was really windy, I do have some curly hair, and when it gets a little long, it's a little rambunctious. And it was a windy day. I dropped him off at school, and after school that day, he said to me, Mom, you know, can you do something about your hair? Because my friend said you have crazy hair, and it's embarrassing to me. And of course, I was mortified and thought it was hilarious because I do have some crazy hair. But I was doing the happy dance because my kid cared what a friend of his thought and was able to remember it and tell me, I mean, how much progress is that, right? It kind of made me want to have crazy hair for a while, but we were really approaching crazy hair yesterday, so we had to nip that, as it were. Okay, so, oh, I didn't show that. There we go. Okay, somebody else who says, hi, Shannon. My son's IEP team and I have different opinions concerning the priority of social skills being taught at recess time. I see it as a very high priority since he is an only child and needs to learn appropriate play skills with his third grade mainstream peers. They say he needs to swing and have his sensory needs met that way. Does GEM do a sensory recess? Okay, well, you know, it's all semantics here, right? Because, yeah, he goes out and does a sensory recess and he swings and he does whatever, but there should be goals for that time, right? And we just went through this last week, and I shared on the show that I had my son's triannual IEP, and I was so proud of myself that I went in with 3 goals that I took from our skills account, because I had taken all the assessment. It was super duper easy, and I took 3 goals. I took a social goal, I took a play goal, and I took a language goal that were appropriate for a playground setting while you're playing on the swings and while you're playing with the balls and whatever. And I was so thrilled that I had that together in the IEP language because it's there on skills for me. And I was really excited about that and went in, and I had an idea of what I wanted, and they said, you know, well, this sounds like something for a recreational therapist, and we have one of those, and let's have him evaluated for that, and let's see. And I don't see how a recreational therapist could come in and see my son's current behavior on the playground and think that he doesn't need it. My son, good little ABA person that he is, should be on the swings and does go on the swings and does go on the slides and do all that. But because he's a good ABA little guy. I don't know whether it was last year or the year before, somebody spilled their trash next to the trash can, and he decided that he was going to pick it up. And he did, because he's present and mindful and knows social rules that we can't leave stuff blowing all over the place. But a big deal was made about it. You want to talk about reinforcement? He got what they call a golden ticket at his school, reinforcing, saying, and there was an assembly. There's usually assembly once a month, and at the assembly he got to go to the principal's treasure box, and he got this stuffed animal because of it, and everybody applauded. The whole school was there and applauded, and the yard duty person told the story about how he'd been so helpful and picked up oh, you want to talk reinforcing for my child. So my child wants to spend all of his time during recess going around and picking up everybody else's trash. This is not the goal that I want. And, maybe this was okay last year and he would get occasional golden ticket for it, but this year the other kids are starting to notice it and saying, what are you, the one who picks up? You know how kids are, right? So I was able to say, this is what my child's doing that's not appropriate. This is how he's being set up for bullying. And, I need some goals put into this time. So, and they were thrilled to, and the recreational therapist is going to go and evaluate, and I think it's all going to be. But I would encourage you to stick to your guns. Every single minute that he's there, they should be working to some IEP goal, so it's important that you get those IEP goals in there. And he can be swinging while he is talking to a friend. It sounds like to me that they just don't want to be bothered and they don't want to assign somebody to these goals during that time. I would stick to my guns. Of course, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a mom, but that is important time. And I'm going to bring up, we keep talking about this, and I got to find it, where in the languaging of an idea that we get free appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment, and there's a sentence in there where the child has to be being prepared with appropriate goals to be successful after they leave school. That's where the social goals come up. I'm going to, during one of our breaks here, see if I can find that. But we're out of time. It might be tomorrow that I'm going to find that for you, because we're going to see the A word now, and then we're going to have Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson join us. But don't give up, Mom. I'm with you on this. Social goals are important, and they need to suck it up a little bit. But we'll find the way that you can do that so that they don't have an out on it. And we'll make it as easy for them as possible for your child to be able to have goals and have them met, so that it actually happens, right? Okay, it is time for the A word. This is the wonderful documentary that's being made here at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, following a little boy, a precious little boy, Jack Riley. At this point in the series, he's about 8 weeks into ABA therapy. Dad's having to learn some new jargon, some autism jargon, but he's getting it done. And we're seeing that this little boy, who last week on the show was having a really hard time sitting appropriately during play so that he could interact. He was laying down, and if they sat him back up, he just cried. But this week we're seeing the benefit of having not allowed that behavior, that now he's being more interactive with play. It's just the beginning seed, but it eventually blooms into a beautiful flower. So let's take a look at where Jack Riley is right now. This is the A word.
This is Jack's morning routine. He just got out of bed. He's a happy guy. He's sitting with Dad, drinking some milk, watching some tunes. Hi, Jack.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How old are you, Jack?
2.
How old are you, Jack? Can you say good morning?
Cookie.
Good morning.
Cookie.
Good morning.
Cookie.
That's good. That's good. Sometimes he arranges the coins lately. It's been, used to just put them straight in the piggy bank, and now he likes to play with them and arrange them. Nice.
Good job. Say more. Oh, good. That was a building. Good. More. Here you go. We definitely want his scores to increase with him talking more. Because he knows everything and he knows what everything is, but you're just getting him to independently ask for things. Because we want to get him to man for things. At least
What are you
20
saying?
minutes
What's the
now.
word you're using?
Manned.
Manned?
Manned. As in like requesting. Okay. So he can say like the object, like he can say train, or he can say more, or he can say all done, anything to communicate with you. Because he has a language, but I don't think we give him enough opportunities to ask for things or
That makes
request for
sense.
things.
That makes sense. We just have to require it more.
Yeah, and then after that we'll move into more frames such as like I want train, I want this.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So I have Dad hold the train, and
Oh,
then have ask Daddy.
Daddy's
Look,
here.
Daddy has the train. So Mike, have him ask you for the tracks. You can even just hold it out in front of him, and then he'll even ask you.
More?
Okay. So here we go. Yeah, good talking. Very good. I've never seen him play train so intricately before.
He's been pretty much daily. He's asked for his train once.
Can you say give me? Okay.
Thank you. Good talking.
There
Good
you
talking,
go.
buddy. Good asking. Good asking.
Yeah, definitely his 2 syllables are just coming along really well.
Yeah. I mean, they're all, most of them are approximations, but they're the same every time. He's a little sedate today, actually. I'm surprised. Excuse me. He gets concerned when I sneeze and cough. Daddy, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay.
Oh,
See that?
That's the closest
See
it sounded.
Cheryl taught on that.
Cute, Dad.
Can you say I love you? That's I love you. Same every time. It's kind of like yellow, but yellow doesn't melt us like that.
Hi, we're going to be working on some pictures. Let me get your picture first. What is it? Pants. Very good. Here you go. Here you go. He's doing a lot of imitating things, and in clinic the other day we noticed that every time he said "look at me," he'd repeat it, but in his own way, so it comes out as "baby." So every time he would look at me, he's like "baby, baby." What is it? Pants. Hey, over here. Look at me. Look at me. No, over here. Look at me. Right here. There we go. That is a train. We'll play with it in just a second, okay? Hey, look at me. Now look at me. Right here. There are your eyes. What is it? Pants. Okay, you can go. Good job. Okay, go play. Do you want the book or the trains? Book or trains? Trains. Okay, good. Go play. Go play with your trains. Go ahead. You can go play now. Oh, you want to look at the pictures? More? More pictures? Here, you can look at the pictures. Here, want to show Suzanne what you know? How about let's look at the ones that you do know? Those are the ones that you don't know. Bunny. Wow, guess you know a lot more than I thought. What's that one? Fish.
Oh, this one. Da 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 da.
Shop.
You are so smart.
Tiger.
Tiger.
Nice.
Good job. Okay, what else? What's this one? Ellie. Oh, it's getting closer. Elephant. Getting closer.
Lion.
Lion. You do know a lot of animals.
Between last week and today, Jack is able to label more cards. He's interested in identifying the images and consequently building his vocabulary. As the weeks progress in his ABA therapy, so has his skills. In 2 months, he's gone from babbling to enunciating certain words clearly. With prompting, he's able to practice appropriate speech when playing and requesting objects. Eventually, the prompting will fade and he will do it on his own. Each new skill acquired builds on the previous one.
You're interested again? Here, why don't you go over there? Go over here and you can see better.
Train.
What's that?
Train.
Ooh, you want to move it for me? Show me your train.
Say choo-choo.
Yeah, move it.
Welcome to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. I'm Nancy Allspot Jackson.
And I'm Shannon Penrod. I'm so glad that we're back in here. I can't wait to talk to you today because there's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about, a little controversy.
Yeah, a little bit of controversy.
Yeah,
you know.
but I love controversy, don't you?
Yeah, I do to a certain extent.
Yeah.
This tears my ticket a little extra.
Ooh, me too.
Okay, of course we're talking about Ann Coulter.
Ann Coulter.
She did a tweet yesterday after the debates, and what she tweeted was, "I highly approve of Romney's decision to be kind and gentle to the," and I'm going to say it, she wrote it, "retard." That's what she had to say. Now, we have a whole lot of experience being autism moms,
Yes.
and the whole thing of calling names, and you have some extra experience. Let's start with your experience, Nancy.
I'd like to tell a story from my own life. I was not only blessed with a son with autism, with special needs, but I was blessed with a younger brother with Down syndrome. David was 5 years younger than me. I was born in 1955, so that means he was born in 1960. He passed away in 1994 from congestive heart failure. He lived with my parents his entire life. He definitely shaped who I am as a human being. I call him a blessing because I know now, and I'm sorry if I get a little teary about this.
No, you go, girl.
David, to me, and my family showed us the meaning of true commitment and true love, and taught us so much.
Yeah.
When I was a young girl, I was not even aware that my brother had anything that was wrong with him, so to speak. And I believe I was about 7 or 8 years old. We were living in Newport News, Virginia. My mother used to take David for a ride every day in his little radio flyer wagon. And we lived in a suburban area with a cul-de-sac, like most kids of the 60s. And I walked with her that day, and we were just coming around the cul-de-sac when a neighborhood boy who was a bully, and I kid you not, his name was Butch. I know that sounds like something out of Central Casting.
Right.
Zoomed up on his Stingray, and out of my mother's earshot, said to me, "Retard, retard. Your brother is a retard." I think up until that moment in my life, Shannon, I viewed the world as a beautiful place, a place of love, a place of warmth, a place of belonging. And at that moment, I realized that there were people that were not kind. There were people that were cruel. And I would say that was a pivotal turning point in my life, because for the first time in my life, I felt shame. Shame at being related to a child that was different. The word retard did not end. I heard it many times. I became very afraid to bring people home from school because I didn't want them to see that I had a brother that was a retard. And I truly believe it set me on a path of rebellion. I'm going to reject you before you can reject me. And luckily for me, I had a grandmother, Diddy, who was a saint. And I remember going to her and saying that this boy had taunted me and called David a retard. And she looked at me and she said, "That poor child." She said, "He's the one with the disability. And you have been chosen to be the sister of this love child. Because what David was put on this earth for is to give and receive love. And you're special. So that stayed with me too, thankfully, but it was a deep wounding.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize how deeply words can wound.
Yeah.
And even in a flippant way, to me, there's no excuse for a woman who supposedly is to be admired for her views, is an expert, whatever she calls herself, because
Right.
I don't know what Ann Coulter considers herself. I know what I consider her. I'm not going to say it right here.
Right.
But I don't think there's any excuse for it.
Nope.
In the context of comedy, okay, when you go to see a film in the context of comedy, I can even accept it there. It's in the context of comedy. This was not in the context of comedy. And she said this about the president of the United States. And when we talk about dirty politics and we talk about lack of respect, I think she showed an extreme lack of respect and a lack of understanding about our special kids, and I could go on and on.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, here's my take on it. I agree with you that there's no excuse, and I think everybody on both sides is saying line crossed.
Right.
And she's good at that.
She's very good at
This is what
that.
she does. This is
Yes.
what she dishes. Well, I'm an autism parent,
Yeah.
and in autism we talk about ABA. We talk about people do things and behave in a way because they're getting reinforced for
Yes.
it, and that there's always a function of the behavior. And so I had to ask myself last night, why would Ann Coulter do that? What's the function of this behavior? And you know what it is? It's that Ann Coulter has a book coming out.
Of course.
And so, and we talked this morning about what extinction is. It
Yes.
is our word of the day, jargon word of the day. Extinction is when you cut reinforcement off from the behavior. And it seems clear to me that there's a couple of things that Ann Coulter wanted from having, she's supposedly an intelligent woman. I know
Yes.
that there's a debate about that. But what it seems to me that what she was looking for was some attention.
Attention.
And that she wanted to manipulate all of us into making a big fuss so that she can get a whole lot of appearances on talk shows
Right.
and sell more of her books.
Well, she did this, the last book she had that came out, she claimed that the Today Show had banned her, which
Well-
was so not true.
Well, here's what I want to suggest to all of us.
Okay.
That we put Ann's challenging behavior on Extinction.
We don't pay attention to it. We don't pay attention to anything
well-
she does, and in fact, we don't buy her book.
Right. I want to ask everybody there, and there we have a lovely, Emily made this for us this morning. I want to urge everyone within the sound of our voice. I know Ann's not watching, right?
No, why would she watch us? She only
right.
watches people that can get her places.
Right, right. So Ann's not going to watch two autism moms, but for all of us,
we're not going to give her
who
enough
have,
viewership.
Right. All of us who have enough money to spend on things that we don't buy her books,
right?
And that if you see her on a talk show,
off.
that you turn it off. Let's put Ann
on Extinction. I'm all
change
for it.
some of her behavior.
Okay.
And that's how we can do that, is put it on Extinction, that we are not participating in this kind of behavior from her, because clearly this has worked for her in the past.
Yeah, but you know what I think she did and was not very smart about? I just think she made a whole lot of people say they're going to vote for Obama. The exact opposite effect.
Well, that remains to be seen.
But I bet she did.
I want to give her, from time to time on this show, we have an award that we like to give.
Okay.
That's called the Autism Ignorance Award. Now, I realize that this comment had...
50 Cent got it, didn't
right,
he?
50 Cent got it. We also
Right.
gave it to Joe Scarborough.
Yes.
So she can join that lovely... They can be a trio of people.
Good.
I said this morning...
Are we sending them a plaque or something?
No, we haven't done that. But I said, it's Halloween time, and this is the time of year when the Bubba witches have to come out and get on their brooms and ride them around. So we want to give this award, the Autism Ignorance Award, because it's anything to do with special needs. We stick together on these things, don't we?
We do.
So congratulations to Ann, and what she has won is some extinction and some planned ignoring, that we're all going to ignore her book and ignore her interviews. And if that doesn't fix her and her little broom, then I don't know what will.
I don't know what will. And I would love for Ann to come to a Sunday of my son's special needs baseball league, and about probably 40% of the children there have Down syndrome, and which is considered, the old term mentally retarded was used. And I dare her to find anything negative about these beautiful angelic children that she refers to as retards.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I think we should take a break.
Yes.
Because we have a wonderful guest who's going to be coming on the show, and we've got some other news to share with you guys later on the show. But we have, talk about the flip side of things. Somebody who is supporting individuals who have different issues and different needs. The young man who's going to be with us, Jonah, and I hope I say his name right, Zimiles. He's going to tell us if I got it right. But he's an entrepreneur, an owner of a bookstore, the Maplewood Bookstore in Maplewood, New Jersey, and he's going to be joining us via Skype to talk about what he is doing for the special needs community.
To make a positive difference in the world.
Yes, the other side of the coin.
Something we don't get enough media attention on, right?
That's right.
So we'll talk to Jonah when we get back.
Absolutely.
All right,
Stick
great.
with us.
Stay with us.
ACT Today, or Autism Care and Treatment Today, was founded in 2004 by several passionate parents who believe that access to early, effective treatment is vital for individuals with autism. Together with Dr. Doreen Graham-Pichet, the world's leading provider of therapy for autism, this group created ACT Today to do just as the name implies, take action immediately to treat autism spectrum disorders.
A lot of families and parents and even physicians don't yet accept the fact that we are recovering children with autism.
In 2006, inspired by her struggle to get treatment for her young son Wyatt, television producer and author Nancy Alspaugh Jackson and her husband Reed hosted a backyard benefit for the foundation called Denim and Diamonds for Autism. Tens of thousands of dollars were raised, and in 2008, Alspaugh Jackson took the helm of ACT Today as executive director.
This country has to come together to save a generation of children.
With a dedicated board of directors, a small but committed staff called the A-Team, as in autism, ACT Today is making a huge difference in the lives of children across the country. Grants that fund programs for behavior therapy, special needs schools, and summer camps. Medical needs like diagnostic tests and special diets. Basic safety equipment such as helmets for children who repetitively bang their heads, and fencing for those who wander. Assisted technologies and assistance dogs.
Hi, my name is Max, and I love my iPad too. It's so great. I can take photos.
In 2010, ACT for Military Families became the first national campaign to benefit military children with autism.
I'm Joe Montaigne. As a father of a daughter with autism, I know the challenges that brings.
ACT Today continues to educate and raise national awareness on the need for early and intensive intervention for an epidemic that affects at least 1 in 110 children.
I called on November 1st. And I'm like, how am I going to get notified? How are you going to let me know? And they ended up looking and they informed me that he had received the grant, which was like a blessing from above.
ACT Today, fulfilling its mission of helping families with autism, one child at a time.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. I'm Nancy Alspaugh Jackson.
And I'm Shannon Penrod, and we're going to pause and come back to the story about the
Jonah,
bookstore
our
owner.
guest. Yeah.
But because we have some more news that we wanted to get to before we join him on Skype. So
we did.
Really important bill that is right now something that we should, I think, all of us be supporting. And
yes, and we've been really instrumental behind this at ACT Today, at Autism Care and Treatment Today. And it is the TRICARE study bill, which was sponsored by Representative Steve Stivers from Ohio. It requires the Department of Defense to review TRICARE policy for the children of military families, especially those with special needs. Yeah. So what they're finding is that there is a gap between the services that these children need and what they're getting. That basically they're not being funded for enough services. And it's particularly applied behavioral analysis.
It's heinous is what it is.
Right.
I mean, when we stop and consider that these young men and women are often put in harm's way, and we have not made it a priority for their kids to get it. All of us struggle.
Yes.
It's not easy for anybody to get ABA, but it shouldn't be harder for them because they're serving in the military.
And because they're mobile.
Exactly.
I think these are some important points that I want to read directly from Representative Stivers. His bill states that despite wholehearted efforts by the Department of Defense, a gap exists between linking military families with children with special health care needs and chronic conditions with the resources and services available from local or regional highly specialized providers in the community and states in which they reside. The gap is exacerbated, the bill states, by the mobility of the military family, who often move from state to state because special needs healthcare, educational, and social services are very specific to each local community and state, and such services have lengthy waiting lists. So let's just put that into perspective for everybody here. Let's use some concrete examples. Let's say a family was stationed at the Marine base Camp Lejeune.
Right.
And then they are moved to Camp Pendleton here in Southern California. And then the dad is deployed, or the mom is deployed to Afghanistan. The mother has, or the parent left at home has a child who is getting ABA therapy, and even then not the recommended amount.
Right.
A third of what the recommended amount is covered by TRICARE. But they go to the bottom of the list for to get to agencies like Center for Autism and Related Disorders to get their therapy again. In fact, by the time they qualify for such therapy, most likely they'll be moving to another state and hit the bottom of the line again. Wrong.
It's just not appropriate. And we can all sit and think about the things that we had to go through to get our children help, and imagine if we were to have to move every 2 years. And there's not just the getting it to the end of the list, but having your child reacclimatized to a whole new school, a whole new social situation, whole new house. It's just too much.
It's too much, and our position on this, we are endorsing this bill. Center for Autism and Related Disorders is endorsing this bill. Autism Speaks has already endorsed the bill. Karen Driscoll, who used to be the director of our campaign, Act Today for Military Families, who's really in the forefront of all of this. Karen is a rock star on this issue. She has been pushing this. We agree. We're going to do an official endorsement and put out some information on this, on how you can support it in the public. But one of the things that I believe strongly, and I don't know a person that I have spoken to does not believe that our military families who are fighting and battling to keep us safe here at home should not have to battle to get basic services for their children.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on that.
Okay,
and
so that's a really important bill, and we hope that we're going to see it passed and that the Department of Defense is going to review the TRICARE policy.
Yes, absolutely. We've also had some new information about the new DSM-5 criteria.
Yes.
I know we've all been concerned about what that's going to mean for our children.
Okay.
And what it's going to mean for children who are being diagnosed.
And what have we learned
and
here?
so
Anything?
Basically, this new study is showing that it's not going to exclude children. In a study published in the American Journal of Psychiatry, the new diagnostic criteria that will now be called autism spectrum disorder, because we're going to get rid of PDD-NOS, we're going to get rid of Asperger's. It's all going to be under one umbrella.
Okay.
And they are identifying that 91% of the children who previously received diagnoses of PDD will still get a diagnosis. That 9%, because originally we were hearing a study that was saying that roughly half of the children who qualified for a diagnosis weren't going to. And so this new study is saying that it may not be quite that. Now, the writing of it has also changed recently. There was a period of time in July when we could all weigh in and say it should include this, it shouldn't include that. So it will be interesting to see, but a much better number, that 9% of PDDS wouldn't be included. I think it remains to see about the children with Asperger's, though, and there's still a great deal of concern. There's also been discussion that it may be that anybody who had a diagnosis previous to when it takes effect sometime next year would be grandfathered in. I think that's very to be remain to be seen, and it's going to be important because insurance, who pays for what is at risk here. That's really what it is. It isn't even so much about the diagnosis, but if it prevents you from getting treatment, that's where we all need to be concerned.
Okay. I want to just ask you a question about this and your experience, and talk a little bit about my experience, because I think there's an issue that comes up here, and that is where your child has received a diagnosis, who they received their assessment from, and can that assessment always be counted on to be correct? Now, I know in my case, my son was initially diagnosed with PDD and OS by the school district. Then Regional Center diagnosed him with moderate to severe autism.
Which is quite a leap.
And then we had a private assessment diagnose him with moderate autism. Now, we were able to do that. Private assessment costs money. We were able to do that at the time. Shannon, do you think parents should get more than one diagnosis if they can?
I think it's a really good question, and I think there are a lot of factors that come into play there. I mean, first of all, it's what you can afford, because a lot of times as we move into insurance states that have that mandate, your insurance provider is going to now start to cover that. I know when my son was diagnosed, he was covered, our diagnosis was covered by our insurance provider.
Your assessment.
The assessment. So we took him, and it was totally paid for. We didn't have to pay a cent for it, which gave me great peace. Now, it came back autism, so I didn't do anything after that. I had to get him assessed to the regional center. They said autism. Then he was assessed when he started at CARD, autism. So all three of mine matched. Had my first one that I did for free not been what I thought was appropriate, I was already looking, in case it didn't, to find somebody that I could pay that could look at him, but you run the risk of what if they agree, right? But I think that for parents, you know, because we know there's a long haul and it's going to cost a whole lot, look at what you have available to you first. Ask other parents, ask your local support group, is this, I'm going to go through this person, are they reputable? Have other people felt that they got a good diagnosis? And you know, can I afford to go to somebody that I know is reputable, or do I want to start here and see what I get? And if you get the diagnosis that helps you to get the help, I say stop there.
Okay, that's just, I wanted your opinion on it, because I know that when I got the, when Wyatt was 3 and I got the PDD NOS diagnosis, I was relieved. And I believe a huge reason why he got that diagnosis was because in the parent interview, a part of the assessment, I overstated his qualifications, his abilities. And at that time, I did not understand that the more realistic the diagnosis, the better services your child would get. So I was, of course, PDD and OS, he's not autistic. So then later I realized the autistic diagnosis that I got through Regional Center and through the private assessor was really what I needed to get him his services.
And people should know, I've talked to Dr. Evelyn Garcia, who runs the assessment department at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, and expressed concern about, well, the parent portion of it, you feel tossed and turned. It's supposed to be that no matter what you say, they're still get an accurate diagnosis. But I always encourage parents, when you go to do the diagnosis, diagnosis, you answer questions for your child based on the absolute worst moment on the absolute worst day.
I did the opposite in my first
Right.
assessment.
And that's, you know, I mean, but that happens. But in my criteria of when you go, you didn't get the help you needed either.
No.
And if you're not getting the help you needed, it's time to go for another diagnosis.
Okay, great.
And they can apply for a grant from Act Today.
Yes,
That's
they
so
can.
They can.
They can, yes.
So don't let money stop you from getting the diagnosis that gets your child the help.
Right, that's right.
So, okay.
Okay, very good. I'm glad. I hope that parents got something from this conversation.
I
that
hope
we
so
just had.
too. It's important.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
especially right now, it's really important that people are seeking out a diagnosis. Insurance is not going to help you if you don't have a diagnosis. So
Okay.
now more than ever, getting that diagnosis is crucial.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a little.
Yes,
Are we
let's
done
take-
with our other news
We have
stories?
another story, but it's time for
Okay.
us to meet with our bookstore owner, Jonah Zimiles. I hope I'm saying it right.
Okay, we'll find out when we get back. Okay,
Okay,
so
so
we'll take
take
a
a
quick break. We're back with Jonah.
Act Today has partnered with Cox Communications to bring Inclusion Films to San Diego. Led by Joey Travolta, Inclusion Films teaches filmmaking to developmentally disabled children.
It's a practical film camp where we take them through the process of making a film. And each group, we split them into 3 groups, and they're each responsible for making a short film together as a group.
How many people like animation in this group?
This is a wonderful opportunity for children to build their self-confidence, to develop new friendships, and it's also an opportunity for their siblings to come and to enjoy the company of other peers in this really wonderful, fun setting.
Okay, so you know what time it is?
Cox Communications has years of supporting the community. We believe in giving back to the communities we serve, and military, youth, and education are our 3 pillars. And so this really matched up with everything that we're about and what we're trying to do to give back to the San Diego community. And so we were thrilled to meet up with Act Today and Inclusion Films and to have this wonderful synergy. 3 organizations really trying to move towards a common cause.
Oh, are we ready? There you go, got it. Okay, you'll be talking to me, okay? So tell me your name, say my name is.
In the past, we've done The Junior Apprentice, which was a takeoff on The Apprentice, The Really, Really, Really Late Show, which is a takeoff on The Tonight Show. And this year, we're doing a combination of 60 Minutes and Entertainment Tonight called 30 Minutes Tonight.
Okay, good. So now you understand what an improv is. You guys get the idea what an improv is? To go with the flow of something, especially in the action.
My son Elijah, he's into movies and he's into music, and so this program might bring out his particular skills.
Amazing. You're like a professional animator.
Every single person here we've met has been so kind, loving, and caring. They've given Nicholas the opportunity to be himself and be around people who have the same passion and interest as he does.
What is it you learned with filming? What did you learn?
That filming is kind of tricky.
It was really nice to know how much they were enjoying this camp, and they're with people who are supporting them and are making them feel great about themselves and their differences and their similarities. And I get 2 kids that are working together and apart and together and apart, so it's an interrelationship as well as a camp and a learning experience.
Everything that goes into the process of making a film goes into everyday life. So they're learning life skills, they're learning to collaborate. And when they collaborate, they come up with a product that everybody can see they're a part of something. They become a community, they become a family. When you make a film, you really become a family.
Are we having fun at film camp? Yeah! You know, we are close to Hollywood. Yes. And Hollywood is always looking for young talent like this.
Autism is an epidemic, and it's not going to get any better anytime soon. Families are struggling to pay the bills, to put food on their table, let alone provide services for their children. And Act Today is a vehicle of support for these families. by helping them get access to life supports that they couldn't otherwise have.
My experience in film camp has been great, and I just really love how all you guys decided to bring us together.
What I learned here, I learned to animate, how to operate the plot board. I learned about the animation and filming and editing.
Making friends.
Making new friends and acting.
Meeting new friends. You can be anything you want to be.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. I'm Shannon Penrod.
And I'm Nancy Alspot-Jackson.
And we have a special guest that's joining us via Skype from Maplewood, New Jersey. We have Jonah Zimiles with us. I hope I said it right this time. And he, did I get it right? There's Jonah. And Jonah, you own a bookstore. We've been saying it's the Maplewood Bookstore, but in fact it has a different name. Tell us.
Yes. The name is Words, and we are Maplewood's Bookstore. We're an independent bookstore in Maplewood, New Jersey.
Absolutely fabulous. And so you are the owner, and you also help to run this bookstore.
That's correct. My wife and I are the owners, and I kind of supervise and run the place with the help of many dedicated and excellent employees.
Okay.
Fabulous.
Well, Jonah, tell us, you have a very distinctive mission that connects to autism. Can you tell us what that is?
Sure. We opened the bookstore 4 years ago, and it's really a twin mission of serving our community at large and serving the autism community in particular. I have a son who's now turning 17 with autism. We have an older daughter as well. And right when the recession hit, the little local bookstore was going out of business and put a sign up, and my wife suggested that we should buy the bookstore and I should run it. And that's what we did. And I was a little reluctant because bookstores are not, I just graduated. I went back at age 50 to get, I used to be a lawyer. I went back at age 50 to get my MBA, and had just graduated from Columbia. And I knew that bookstores were not the most booming business. He felt that it was really important for our community. We both felt to have a bookstore in town. And we also had wanted to do a vocational training program for young people with autism. And she said, why don't we do it in the context of a real business? And so that's what we've done for the last 4 years.
What is this wonderful wife's name of yours?
Oh. Ellen Zimiles.
All right. Well, she sounds like a saint.
Yes.
And much behind it.
She certainly is.
Behind every great man is a great woman, as they say. First of all, Shannon and I want to commend you. This has been a topic that we've been covering on our webcast about our young adults and our teenagers that are moving into the world and where they're going to be employed, what they're going to do, how we're going to encourage businesses to hire them. So you are actually doing this.
Which I love.
So what has this experience been like since you opened the store? What has it been like for you and for your family?
It's been fabulous. And in particular, I think it's good to step back and to look at what it was to open, because when we opened the store, I didn't have any experience in retail or in the book business. And also, while I obviously knew a lot of kids with autism, didn't have experience with vocational training. But what I found immediately from the day we opened was the place quickly became a center for people with autism in our community and neighboring communities, that it was a place that they could come in and spend time there, whether they purchase something or not, and feel safe and at home and not worry about any kind of stereotypy or any type of behavior, odd behaviors the kids may express. And it gives me just an incredibly warm feeling. You know, when I'm in my office and I hear one of our kids in the store shopping, it's really a wonderful feeling that I have.
Well, I think it's remarkable. I'm told that the name of the store, that there's a little story that goes along with why you decided to call it Words. Can you share that with us? Yeah, there are two parts to it, but the name was actually an advertising agency actually came up with a name for us, and
what I think is really wonderful about that was that I'd been told that, you know, once we said we were going to open up the store, that there was this agency in New York, Barker DZP, that was going to, that they said, gee, we'll give you a little help. And I went in to see them, and I thought that they were going to spend 30 minutes talking to me about things that I needed to do in terms of brand design or something. And it turned out that they'd had 7 people working on this project, and they'd come up with a list of 30 names. And we have a beautiful, if you go on our website, wordsbookstore.com, you'll see we have a beautiful color scheme, which they had designed it, and branding. And they gave us a list of 30 names. And the reason we chose words was because it fit in beautifully with the motif of both books, which we are a general purpose bookstore, and also with the fact that our kids find our young people find words so challenging in the autism.
Absolutely.
You know, this sounds like an idea that I could see expanding across the country.
We would love to do that. In fact, that is our long-term goal. To help other people, again, you know, take our model and to open up in other communities where appropriate.
Can I ask you to just share how, you talked a bit about how the community has responded. How many young people do you employ that are on the autism spectrum, and what, can you share some experiences you've had with them and what this has done for their self-esteem?
Yeah. So, for example, we currently have 2 people who are on our payroll with autism, but we also do a large amount of job sampling and job training through local schools. And in the last 4 years, we've had about 50 individuals work in our store. And we've seen remarkable improvements in how they've done. There was one young lady who worked there, and it was the first time she'd ever gotten a paycheck, and she came home and said to her mom, you know, gee, I feel like a real kid now.
Isn't that amazing?
And we've had other great success with our kids.
Well, this is amazing, Jonah. I think we should take a break, and then when we come back, we want to meet some of the people who work in your store. Will that be okay?
Yes.
All right. So those of you watching us, stick with us. We're going to be back after these messages.
ACT Today, or Autism Care and Treatment Today, was founded in 2004 by several passionate parents who believe that access to early, effective treatment is vital for individuals with autism. Together with Dr. Doreen Graham-Pache, the world's leading provider of therapy for autism, this group created ACT Today to do just as the name implies, take action immediately to treat autism spectrum disorders.
A lot of families and parents and even physicians don't yet accept the fact that we are recovering children with autism.
In 2006, inspired by her struggle to get treatment for her young son Wyatt, television producer and author Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson and her husband Reed hosted a backyard benefit for the foundation called Denim and Diamonds for Autism. Tens of thousands of dollars were raised, and in 2008, Alspaugh-Jackson took the helm of ACT Today as executive director.
This country has to come together to save a generation of children.
With a dedicated board of directors, a small but committed staff called the A-Team as in autism, ACT Today is making a huge difference in the lives of children across the country. Grants that fund programs for behavior therapy, special needs schools, and summer camps. Medical needs like diagnostic tests and special diets. Basic safety equipment such as helmets for children who repetitively bang their heads, and fencing for those who wander. Assisted technologies and assistance dogs.
Hi, my name is Max, and I love my iPad too. It's so great. I can take photos.
In 2010, ACT for Military Families became the first national campaign to benefit military children with autism.
I'm Joe Montaigne. As a father of a daughter with autism, I know the challenges that brings.
ACT Today continues to educate and raise national awareness on the need for early and intensive intervention for an epidemic that affects at least 1 in 110 children.
I called on November 1st, and I'm like, how am I going to get notified? How are you going to let me know? And they ended up looking, and they informed me that he had received the grant.
which was like a blessing from above.
ACT Today, fulfilling its mission of helping families with autism, one child at a time.
Hi, we're back with Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy, and we have a special guest here, Jonah Zimiles, right? Zimiles, like similes, I should know that, who runs the Words Bookstore in Maplewood, New Jersey, which is a wonderful, wonderful business that has employed individuals with autism. It was inspired by Jonah's journey with his son, Daniel, and thank you for being with us, Jonah.
Thank you for having us.
And you have been joined by two of your employees. Can you introduce them to us?
Sure. There's Judy Rubashkin, who has done a lot of work with us, working with our special needs employees. She's a regular staff person at our bookstore, but she has kind of helped and supervised many of our special needs employees. And there's Pat Cotter, who is our store manager, who has done that as well.
Wonderful. So glad to be joined by all of you. We want to point out that the guests that are joining you are not people who are on the autism spectrum, but they are people, as you were saying, who work with you on a daily basis and work with your staff. And you said that you have two people currently on the payroll who are on the autism spectrum, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity because you were saying during the break how you hope that more businesses will want to do this kind of thing and that this will spread, that more people will take the opportunity to do this. But I think a lot of times they have fear about what will this be like. So can you ladies tell us about what the actual day-to-day has been like? Has this been rewarding for you? Have you had challenges? Talk to us about it.
Oh, it's great. I mean, because I work with both individuals. I work with one of the individuals who is, I would say he's in his 20s, and he does a lot of our recycling work. He does driving for us, and he's always very willing to help out, and he really wants to please, and he has a good head on his shoulders, and he just needs sometimes a little bit more encouragement. But he's a great, great kid, and I think he also gets an amazing amount of satisfaction that he's in a typical workplace, and that he can ask questions and he can really function well within our organization. And it's a real plus for our organization to have him with us. And then there's another woman who comes in and she helps us receive and helps us shelve, and she's always smiling, and she just has a very nice disposition. And I also think she really likes being a part of the workplace and feeling like she's a part of the store. We really feel like she's a part of the store with us. We look forward to her coming in and working, and it's just been it's been a good experience. I think it goes both ways, which it's very reciprocal.
And Pat, did you want to comment too on what you've?
Yeah, I would second what Judy just said about the two individuals on the payroll, and then I have the pleasure of interacting with the kids that come through the schools that we have associations with. And each and every one of them is a unique and delightful human being, and we figure out what they can do, and we kind of craft the job to fit their abilities, and maybe we even challenge them here and there, and they've lived up to our expectations and have done very well.
Well, go ahead.
Several of them have come along quite a way.
Oh, absolutely.
Since they started here. I mean, they start with, again, I wish we had a bag to hold up now that I think about it, but we start with putting stickers. We try to serve people on the spectrum at all different levels of abilities, and so we start with putting stickers on bags that even the most severely challenged people can do, right. And then they kind of work their way up the chain to, we even have one who can drive, and we have people who, receive books when they come in and shelve books, and
help customers. Some help customers. Yeah. I mean, I really think they do a variety of tasks, and that's wonderful. And I have a daughter who has challenges, and she comes in and she stickers bags, and she feels like she is really a part of the community. And I think that that's what's also so wonderful about the mission is the community understands and is part of this process also.
Well, I think it's remarkable what you're doing.
It really is. We want to commend you for your efforts. You are a great example to other businesses out there of what can be done with our young people on the spectrum. And I don't know, you probably didn't hear us earlier this hour, but we were talking about Ann Coulter. I don't know if you heard, tweeted that in response to the debates that Romney,
she said, I'm glad that Romney decided to be kind and gentle to the retard.
To the retard, which we gave her our Autism Ignorance Award. We would like to give all of you our Autism Activist Award for making the world a better place and spreading enlightenment and education as opposed to ignorance.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And that's been another great aspect, is how the community has reacted and the impact that we hope that we have. And it's very important for us to have our folks in working positions visible to all of our customers, and we're right in the middle of our town because we'd like to change the perceptions. And unfortunately, we don't have many people like Ms. Coulter living in Maplewood, but we would like to try to educate our citizens as much as we can.
And Jonah's also done a wonderful job of having an assortment of books that parenting and special needs that really help the community and help a lot of people and in their journey when they're dealing with their children and how they deal with their children and making, the best decisions they can. And I think that the section that we have in the bookstore that it really meets the community's needs and the greater community in that way. Well, I think that's an important
Well,
piece
we
of
commend all of you for doing such a wonderful job and setting such a great example for more businesses to do this. We want to encourage everybody to visit your website to see what you're doing, and of course, if you're in Maplewood, New Jersey, to take the opportunity to go into the store and become a patron to this wonderful, wonderful venture. We want to thank you all for being with us today.
Thank you.
And keep us posted on how things are going. Would you please?
Keep us posted.
Well, thanks very much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We're going to take a break.
Quick break, and we're going to talk. We've got some our biggest act today, Autism Care and Treatment today. We have our biggest fundraiser of the year coming up, and it is sort of a it's become a very star-filled, glitzy affair because a lot of celebrities who have children on the spectrum support us, and we're giving awards to two great men. And we're going to talk a little bit about that when we get back.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So stick with us.
I had a dream last night. A child came in smiling, looked me square in the eyes, with a glow on his face. He took me by the hand and led me to the window. He said, look outside. The whole world has changed. Then I woke up alone in the darkness, ran to the window, nothing but rain. I tried to close my eyes and bring back the feeling. Couldn't for the life of me make it come back again. Maybe tomorrow things will be better. Maybe tomorrow somebody will open all the doors. Maybe tomorrow the sun will start shining. Tomorrow's the day we've all been waiting for. Wish I could call you up on the telephone just to let you know what's going on here at home. Had some good days, had some bad ones too. One thing for certain, we're both missing you. Maybe tomorrow things will be better. Maybe tomorrow somebody will open all the doors. Maybe tomorrow the sun will start shining. Tomorrow's the day we've all been waiting for. I know you God knows we're in a battle zone. Well, I'm fighting no more back here, and I'm fighting it all alone. The only reason I'm not losing my mind is that maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, things will be better. Maybe tomorrow somebody will open all the doors. Maybe tomorrow the sun will be shining. Tomorrow's the day we've all been waiting for. Tomorrow's the day we've all been waiting for.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. We're here at the end of the show, but Nancy, you have something really exciting coming up weekend after next, your big fundraiser. Tell us a little bit about this star-studded event.
Well, we call it Denim and Diamonds for Autism. It started 7 years ago in my backyard on my little 1-acre ranch. We invited all the neighbors and everybody we knew, and about 300 people showed up, and we raised a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars. And because of that, Dr. Doreen Graham-Pichet, who is the founder not only of Center for Autism and Related Disorders, but of ACT Today, Autism Care and Treatment Today, asked me and my husband to join the board, and a short time later asked me to become executive director of the foundation, which has been my pleasure, honor to do. It is the world's most rewarding job when you find out from families, when I get letters from parents and children and see that we can really change a life for the better for a child with autism and a family challenged with autism. So this is our big fundraiser. It's gone from, that was the first year it was pretty big, and then the second year it got bigger and bigger, and I can't believe we're on number 7.
That's amazing.
And last year we gave what we called the Activist Award to my dear friend Tom Bergeron, the host of Dancing with the Stars, America's Funniest Videos. I spent 25 years in television before autism changed my life.
Yes, and that's the thing that people need to know, that, Nancy is this awesome autism mom, fierce, but she's also really well-known and connected and has friends in high places.
So I could call people like Lisa Gibbons and Tom and say, hey, come on over and host this with me. And
which is kind of amazing. These people are not in my Rolodex, can I just say, but they are in Nancy's, and that's a great thing.
I just decided no harm in asking, and this year it's going to be pretty spectacular. It's on November 3rd at the Calamigos Ranch in Malibu, which is quite a beautiful facility. And from 5 to 9 there's going to be a red carpet, and just to tell you a few of the people, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this next week, but we're honoring Mr. Joe Mantegna, who we talk about a lot on this show.
Because he's dishy.
And we love him. He is going to be honored for his work as the spokesperson for our Act Today for Military Families campaign. And he has a daughter, Mia, with autism. And he's a great supporter of military families with autism. And then we have Steve Malden. Now, Steve Malden is the very big wig in the entertainment industry. He is the general manager of KCAL and KCBS here in LA, and he's run television stations all over the country, and he has started a resource fair called Stephanie's Day, which has helped tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of families. So they're both getting our Activist Award. And Brian McKnight, who's been, I think, nominated for more Grammys than any other person.
Yeah, he's the Susan Lucci of the Grammys.
Yeah, the Susan Lucci. He's never won it, but I just love his music, and he's giving a mini concert that night. We have most of the cast of Criminal Minds, including that dishy Shamar Moore, who I think should be on the cover of People's Most Beautiful Man Alive or Sexiest Man Alive. We've got Thomas Gibson, who also is the star of Criminal Minds and was in Dharma and Greg. We have the kids from Modern Family, Ariel Winter and Nolan Gould. We have David Hasselhoff. Who doesn't love the Hoff? You know, Baywatch, Knight Rider, you name it.
Kevin McHale from Glee.
Yes,
is coming,
Kevin McHale from Glee,
is very
pretty
exciting.
big. Jean Smart from Designing Women. Lou Diamond Phillips, who has Stand and Deliver. You know, great film actor. Vivica Fox, Bonnie Hunt. I mean, it just Tom Bergeron. It goes on and on and on, and a lot of big soap stars.
And we're going to talk more about this. Yeah. But we have to tell people that next week on Wednesday it's Halloween.
Yes.
And we will not be here on Halloween, but we didn't want you to miss out on a Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy.
No.
We didn't want that to happen.
So we'll be here on Monday.
On Monday of next week, because we won't be live on Wednesday. We have places we have to be. But on Monday we're going to be here, and we have a very special guest who's going to be with us on Monday.
Yes.
You want to tell them? Elaine Hall.
Elaine is back with some other individuals that are on the spectrum that are going to be taking part in this great conference she's doing.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be exciting.
So we'll have Elaine here with some special guests on Monday. We're going to talk a little bit about Halloween and how we celebrate Halloween and some of the challenges that we've faced along the way.
Many. It used to be my most dreaded holiday of the year.
Yeah. And me too. And how we have found ways of coping and what we do with our kids. And we'll also talk some more and maybe show you some pictures of some of these fabulous
Some of the celebrities that will be there. Now, the public is invited to Denim and Diamonds, and we do have a limited number of tickets left.
Okay, because I know you're close to being sold out.
Yes. You can go on our website, act-today.org, and you'll see where to get them. Or you can go to the Denim and Diamonds website, Denim and Diamonds for Autism, all one word, .net. Denim and Diamonds for Autism.net. And
we will both be there.
We will both be there. You're going to be covering the red carpet.
Yes.
And it's really a great evening.
I can't wait to be there.
You know, and if you can do it, it is a fundraiser, so it's not one of our free activities. We do of course sponsor at various times in the year things that are more resource type oriented for families. But this is about
making money
for the kids.
For the grants.
Yeah.
And we want to remind everybody that you're in a grant phase right now. So if you need a grant for something, now is the great time to go to www.act-today.org. Fill those papers out. You only have a week left.
You only have a week, and you've got to get some materials together for that. If you need assistance, you can call our office. There's a number there to call. We will hand walk you through that process, okay?
Absolutely. So all of that and more. A reminder to all of you, Monday instead of Wednesday next week, we'll be here with Elaine Hall and some very special guests. You're not going to want to miss it. And we will talk more about Denim and Diamonds.
We will.
Because see some of these fabulous pictures of some of these people.
Right. And you know, I just want to say, I think we saw today with Jonah that you really can make your so-called disability an opportunity, and we hope you will do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Reminding all of you that I'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I'm lying. We're not doing a show tomorrow. We'll be back on Friday.
Okay.
So until then, please give your kiddos a hug from me.
And have a great day.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye.